Hi, Nikki. So great to be with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me or speaking with me.
This is Nikki Sharp, and she runs a company called Stay Sharp and Be Strong. And she is really pretty massive in the health coaching and the health world. She has hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers and loads of different really cool detox books and various books on healthy eating. And I think a few other more interesting things coming up as well, which she'll probably talk to you a little bit about. But yeah, we just really in the Living Rosy world, we're all about discovering really cool and interesting online businesses and getting inspiration as to how we can start our own ones. All of my followers are in the corporate world and dying to get out, and maybe you've been there before. So really just want to ask you a few questions on like how you got started and where you're at today, and just to show them that trajectory and prove to them that it can happen and it's possible for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So maybe give us a little bit of background. Like, what were you doing before you started your company?
So I was modeling for many, many years. And while I was modeling, I kept going in and out of the corporate world. So I graduated university, and a week after I graduated, I moved to Shanghai to start international modeling. And then I left that. I started the corporate world, became a marketing director, and decided I didn't like it, got wanderlust, moved to Australia, decided to model again. And so that's kind of been my path of like in and out of the corporate world. And I think most people can kind of understand why one doesn't like to stay in the corporate world. But then the problem was I wasn't making enough consistent money from the modeling. So then I'd go back to the safe job. And I was living in London. I was modeling. I had a corporate job. I was doing, I think, marketing. Yeah, marketing for a law firm. And they ended up letting me go because they just were revamping the company. They didn't need the position anymore. So they let me go. And I was in a place where I didn't really want to model anymore. I was, I think, 25 at the time, but I didn't really know what to do. I recently started getting into health, and it was kind of this overnight thing where literally just this whole health world, which I'd never heard about, popped up. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, and I must learn. So I kept taking courses and various classes, reading books, and that was all really great. So when I was let go, I kind of had that moment of being like, I don't know what to do. And I kept going for job interviews. And for one reason or another, I either just wouldn't show up, because and it was really, I remember getting on a train and just not like getting almost out front of the door and being like, I can't do this. And so I left, and it really just started from there. And I remember telling my parents saying, I'm going to open a health company. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Give me 6 months. I had enough savings to basically pay bills, and that was it. And I said, just give me 6 months and let me see what I do. And within 2 months, I started making money. And I had no plan from the moment I started my company other than I was just blogging. I loved what I was doing. And I never went back to the corporate world after that.
Amazing. And so, what were really the deciding factors in making you want to start your own business and do your own thing?
I think I never thought I would be running my own company. When I started, I think like everything, you have to start small. And it was the first thing I knew was I needed to create my own company. And so in the US, you create an LLC. In the UK, I made my company a limited company. So, and I started out in London. I created, my limited company. I started blogging. I didn't know what in the world I was doing. And I think that's one thing that I would try to explain to people is it's okay to not know always, because we all started off having no idea. And it really, there was nothing that was like, I want to own this company and I want to be my own boss. It was just, I loved what I was doing. No one else was doing it. And there was no company that I could join that at least that I saw that was providing the same knowledge that I wanted to give to people. So that was kind of it. There was really no magical, aha moment of like, I must own this company. That was never a goal of mine growing up. And it happened that way. And now it's a love-hate relationship, obviously, because you're always working, but you're working on something you're passionate about. So it doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a few hours to put in, but
yeah,
it's really worth it, and you feel amazing doing it. So, and also all the effort you put in comes back to you at the end of the day. It's not like the company takes it, or you do a project and then somebody doesn't use it. It's all you.
Yeah, and so it's that it's how much work you put in is what you see coming back to you. So if I don't work that much, there's not that much coming back to me. But if I'm working 6 days a week, it's like, obviously that's going to be paid off for everything, all the projects that I work on. So that's it's really about, an entrepreneurship is about putting your own time into what you're doing, knowing that it's going to come back to you. And that's what I found. And I guess I learned that through modeling as well. Just, the more you're available, the more castings you did meant the more jobs you had. The more jobs you had meant the bigger your face became out in the world. So
exactly. And then the more you can kind of create that brand, and, using modeling as an analogy, you can then start, putting your face on advertisements and things. And it's sort of the work, you can kind of create these structures. And I think it's a bit similar. I mean, for example, you've got books and other things coming out. And obviously there's like a marketing time you have to put in, but it's not like every hour is a limited dollar amount as it is in the corporate world. There's put in the work to get everything up and running, and then it's like you just got to keep marketing, keep selling, basically. Yeah, definitely. So tell us a little bit about what you actually do offer and what's coming up.
Of course. So my brand currently, I'm kind of in a transition. So it's currently called Stay Sharp, Be Strong, and I'm actually changing it to just Nikki Sharp, because I started at Stay Sharp, Be Strong, and that it was a reflection on everything that I believe in. It included my last name. And what I found is that people, when they search for me, they search Nikki Sharp. So it seemed like a natural evolution. So right now I'm doing health consulting, coaching. That's kind of the side thing, because I love that. That's a passion for me. I love helping people one-on-one. But what I do is I really try to appeal to the masses. So I give information to people daily through Instagram, various other social media, Snapchat. Like if you follow me on Snapchat, I constantly post what I eat in a day and what I do at the gym, that sort of thing. I do blog posts. I give away free recipes 2 times a week, blog posts on how to stay healthy when you start school, when you travel, that sort of thing. So I give away a lot of free content. So I'm constantly doing all of that. And in terms of how I make money, I sell ebooks currently. One of my ebooks, which is how I became well known. So overall, I am a health and lifestyle blogger. That's what you would call me. But I'm now transitioning. I'm an author and an entrepreneur. So my 5-day detox, which is how I got known, it sold a lot of copies, and it's now getting turned into a mobile application. And then it got picked up by Random House. So the book comes out in March for that. So I had to turn a 30-page ebook into a 300-page book, which was amazing and fun and hard work. And I can't wait for it to come out. But that was all, again, when I started my company and I created my first product, which was the detox, never did I think I would be getting a book deal from that. It's, it was just mind-boggling, really. So that's what I do. And I'm starting to expand really, really quick. There's a lot in the pipeline coming, and it's a lot of work, but it's also very rewarding. So
fantastic. Great. Yeah. And, when you started, I mean, you grew really pretty quickly, especially, I always say to my clients that everyone always wants to start a blog, and I'm like, blogging is amazing, and it's so rewarding, and it can grow so huge, but like, you need to get the traffic running, and that can take time. And if you want to quit your job yesterday, it's not the quickest way to do so. But you really grew your following and your, all your social media accounts and things really quickly. So what do you think, how do you think you did that?
Yeah. And what's interesting is when I look at it, I don't think that it was quick. And, you look at your own trajectory, and it's like, there were so many months of blogging where, I was getting 10 visitors a day. then 20, then 30, and you're thinking, but because I loved what I was doing, when it went up to 40, I was celebrating because I loved it, instead of being like, oh my God, why am I not getting this? I think the main thing was not setting goals, but not beating myself up if I didn't hit it, right? So nobody's going to hit, 1,000 views overnight. And I was lucky enough that I had an Instagram following that really cared about what I said. So that helped, but that doesn't, like an Instagram following doesn't translate into them coming to your website or them following you on YouTube. So what I found is that you really needed to put out different content for each channel. So YouTube needs to be very different than what you're putting on Instagram, which needs to be different than Twitter. And no one's going to follow you on all the same ones if you just blast out the same content. So that was something I learned very early on, because I saw a lot of people on Instagram and they would, press the share button and it would go to Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr. And I'm thinking, so why am I following you on all these different things? I want different content. I want to know about your life. So I just started posting different things. So my blog had something different than my YouTube channel would have. And my Instagram, I learned just kind of the secrets of it, that you needed to post really good inspirational photos that people could repost. So growing it was really, and very honestly, it's more about human psychology than anything else. So if you're doing something, the whole thing is, how can you help that person? Because yes, people care about what I eat, but at the end of the day, they care about what I eat and what I do for exercise because they want to know if it's going to work for them. So if I can translate that of what I'm doing in my personal life into how what I do can help you, your following will grow a lot quicker. So I would say, don't always make it about you. Like, you might be the product, you might be the blogger, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, people want to know what you can do for them. So that's really a big way to grow your following. And it's staying positive when things don't go right. So for me, I look at my Instagram account and it's grown crazy amounts. And then I look at my YouTube following and I'm like, why is this not growing? And it can get really, hard. And you're like, I'm going to quit. I don't want to do this. And you really just have to remember why you're doing what you're doing is kind of the biggest thing, because like, I'm sure you experienced it, that there's going to be days where you think, all right, towels in, I'm done. And then the next day you get a few more followers and you're like, oh, wait,
Yeah, and I tell my clients this all the time, because they're like, I put out a Facebook post and no one liked it. And I'm like, yeah, it happens to me sometimes too. You just got to keep going. And the next one, you're going to get 100 likes. It's just, you just got to keep going and working out what people want from you. And you're so right. I mean, being of service is really the key. And of course, we all have to pay the bills and we all want to be interested in what we do. But actually, it's that impact that we put out into the world is the most powerful thing, and that's what's going to get you more following and actually make you more successful and make you the more money in the end anyway. So it's always just like following that path, really.
Yeah, and I would say too, and this is one of my favorite things to tell people, is staying true and authentic to your message and your brand. So I've had so many people come in, tell me, that they want to see more makeup videos, and and I love that side of things, but my goal in life is to, through health and wellness, to get people feeling better. So, me talking about the clothes that I wear, which I love fashion, isn't necessarily going to be true to the message I'm trying to provide to people. Or, if I was and I've been in talks about this with reality television shows, and it's like, I don't want to be famous for being on a reality television show. That's not authentic to the message that I'm trying to share to people. So it's not selling out to, when the time comes, for whatever monetary or fame or next level position you can get. It's really just staying true to what you believe in. And when you do that, the rewards you'll get from the work you put in are far greater than anything else.
Exactly. Definitely. So, you've obviously you come out of the drama of the getting out of the job and starting up the business, and now you're bit more established. It's been what, sort of 2 years that you've been doing this now, or
2.5 years? Yeah.
2.5? Yeah. So what's your life like now? I mean, in terms of kind of travel and daily life, and tell us a bit about what you do.
Daily life. So the beautiful thing, and also the very hard thing about being an entrepreneur, is that you don't have set hours and you really have to manage your own schedule. So for me, I wake up, I go to bed around 11, 12 every night. I get up around 7:30, 8, and no day is the same. I don't have a routine schedule where I sit down and I work on my emails and then I do a YouTube video and then I do this, that, the other. It's really, it changes every day with meetings. So we'll say on an average day, I try to go work out in the morning, just because I find if I don't, I probably won't go later in the day. I'll make breakfast, and I'm one of those people that when I wake up, I actually keep the phone out of my bedroom. And when I wake up, I get up and I go get it and I get back in bed and then I check email. So it kind of defeats the purpose, but I do that, and it's just something that I like. It actually relaxes me. So I just check emails, I send off whatever I need to, and then it gives me a few extra minutes to kind of enjoy my morning. So I do that. I'll work out, come back, have breakfast, I respond to all the emails that have come in, and I still respond to every single email that people ask questions, advice. So it can be a lot some days. It goes from having lunch meetings to sitting here and filming a YouTube video or creating a new recipe. So I love recipe development. And it really just revolves around that. And then as emails, I don't have set times for emails. I respond to them as they come in. And then at like 7:00, I'm done with emails for the most part. I do try to have a separate work and life, because I've gone so long of there was no separation, and it burns you out really quickly, as I'm sure you've experienced. Yeah. And then with travel, I love traveling. I have wanderlust to the extreme. So luckily, if I want to go somewhere, I can just take my laptop, all my work, as long as I don't have meetings, and just go. So that's a really big benefit of it. But I try to stay in LA as much as I can, just because I constantly have so many meetings and events and that sort of thing. So I mean, I'd love to say that I have, a specific daily routine, but I don't. And that's the beauty of it, but the struggle.
Exactly. But it's kind of, I think, what I always wished when I was in the corporate world, I was like, I wish if I just didn't feel like working, or I just didn't feel like doing my emails today, then I just wouldn't do them this morning. I do something else. And that's what would be so amazing about being an entrepreneur. And then when you become an entrepreneur, you're like, if I don't do things in a certain kind of order, then I forget to do things every day. And there's always something that needs to get done. So for me, I mean, people all work really differently. I tend to have like a set time, at least each week, where like I write my newsletters and things. I'm a little bit structured. I always have the same times for clients to speak to me, etc. And then I have a friend who is launching a business, and she literally just like goes about her daily life, and she's the CEO, but she has various people working for her. So she just answers their emails while she's like shopping or in a cafe or whatever. And that works for her. But she does that from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. That would drive me insane.
Right.
Really just finding the balance for you. And
exactly,
if you want to go and work out for 2 hours or go to the beach or do whatever, like you can do that, and you can make that decision. There's no boss saying I can't, you can't do that for me.
I think for me, I end up working a lot. And so, I never on a Wednesday will be like, okay, let's go have our weekend today. Let's go to the beach. It's really, I do try to stick to Monday to Friday is when I work consistently, and I typically will work one day over the weekend as well. But I do like to give myself a break. And I think I work from home. So because I don't have a specific office that I'm going to, my time gets a little challenged there. But again, you're right. It's finding what works for you.
Exactly. Perfect. And so what do you think are the next steps for you in your business? What are the main things that are coming up?
Growth and expansion. I'm releasing my mobile application for the 5-day detox at the end of this month. So end of September, beginning of October, which I'm really, really excited for. Then the book comes out in America in March. So leading up to that, it's going to be a lot of marketing and all of that. And then after that, it will be coming out worldwide a few months after. So that's all really, really exciting. I'm looking to do a meal delivery service for my detox. And then I'm trying to get some product into Whole Foods. I'm trying to do some other interesting products. And so there's a lot going on right now. And it's all stuff that I've been talking about for a while and I'm passionate about. And it's a lot of work, but yeah.
Sounds great though. A lot of things happening, which is really exciting.
It is. And there's times where and I think you've probably experienced this too, where there's times where there's not that much going on because you're waiting for something to happen. And it can feel like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not seeing any results. And then all of a sudden everything, it just rains on you. And it's like everything comes to fruition and you're like, oh, I need a breather.
Yeah.
And that's really what the past few months have kind of been the lead up to where I'm starting to get now. And I think that's, as we talked about, like if you get 100 likes on Facebook versus none, you just have to keep going.
Yeah. And it's this, like, I think we're so conditioned that we have to work 9 to 5. So even when you don't have that parameter, you're like, oh, but it's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday and I haven't done something, like I'm finished for the day. So what do I do? And you kind of like find extra things to do almost. And so you have to get really fierce with yourself. Like, no, I work these hours and I actually block out time in my calendar where I'm like, this is for this and this is for that. And when there's no space left in that calendar and I have blocks for like me time, when those, all the other places are gone, there's no more space for work today. So it's like you've got to get pretty sort of fierce with yourself around having these barriers, because otherwise, like you say, working from home, you could literally be working like all day, all night.
Or the opposite of not, like I find myself quite often, if I'm working from home and for any reason, if my kitchen is a mess or my bed isn't made, my mind starts to go mental. And so I have to just pick up, go to a coffee shop and sit there for hours. And I end up getting everything done and more than I would have in a whole block of time at my house.
Exactly. And so much of it is actually just taking that step back and like allowing yourself to have fun, even if you're still being productive, but like mentally giving yourself that permission, I find is really, really important, because we are conditioned to sit in cubicles for 8 hours and like there's no other way to work. So it's kind of tough to get yourself around that mentality, really.
Yeah. But you become far more productive when you do, I feel like.
100%. Yeah. Cool. And so I had a few questions from my community, which they were really interested to ask you. So Susan asked, what nonfiction books have impacted you? Impact meaning that you found inspiration or you had light bulb moments, etc.
So there were two, and it's really when I started my health journey a few years ago and I was living in London. The first one was Crazy Sexy Cancer by Chris Carr. And I don't know why it came to me, but I ordered this book, I read it, and I just thought, oh my God, this is amazing. I started following her, and actually she's a friend of mine now. So it's amazing to have read all of these books. And then the other one is Honestly Healthy, and the authors of that one, again, I'm also friends with. And I couldn't ever imagine that would be my life, of reading these books that were, one of them, Honestly Healthy, is a cookbook. And the way that it was written was so poignant, and I understood everything, and I was starting to get into the health journey, and I wanted to make everything. And so I did. I was in the kitchen, I was photographing, I was changing recipes. And that one really was the first one to be like, oh wow, you can actually eat real food, lots of it. It tastes great and feel great. And so that was kind of a really big one for me. And then, Crazy Sexy Cancer, I guess it was with Chris Carr. So for those people that don't know, she went through cancer and she actually still has it today, stage 4, I believe. And she manages it through food, and it's her whole story, and it's everything that she recommends. And it just spoke to me to be like, you can have the worst problem ever, and actually it's not. And she's turned her life around, and she says it's actually been a blessing. because it changed her life, and she's now able to help other people. So those were the two like light bulb books that I was like, wow.
Exactly. No, I love Chris Carr as well. She's so awesome, and she's such a nice personality as well. And it's not just all about food; it's all about like positive thinking and just really
Right.
being like very grounded in yourself.
Yeah.
Cool. Kelly asked you.
Wait, what would yours be?
Mine. Oh, so for me, really the light bulb in terms of like I was brought up like my parents both worked for the state. My dad's in the military, my mom's a teacher, and like entrepreneurship just like isn't a thing. Like you go and you work for one company for your whole life, and like that's what you do.
Yeah.
And so when I read The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, I was like, what? Like there are people and they like work 4 hours a week and they can like travel and you know they're not tied down by their salary. Because when I graduated from university, I was like, oh my God, I only have 25 days a year now of holiday. And I live in the UK, so like that's actually quite a lot. But I was like, how will I ever do all the things and see all the places in the world in 5 weeks a year? I'm going to go crazy. And I did, you know, I really felt it. And so when I read this book, I was really at one of my lowest points in banking, and I was exhausted and I was breaking up with my boyfriend and I was stressed out. And I was like, wow, like this is possible. And then I read it and I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And then I didn't do anything about it.
Right. As it normally goes.
Super, you know, I was still stressed out and I was really scared. And I was like, okay, I'll start saving some money because maybe if I save some money, I might be able to quit. And then I couldn't quit. And then basically, you know, I totally, for those of you who know my story, I just dropped off the edge. I ended up getting stress-induced celiac disease and like totally breaking down, and had to take 6 months off work, which started my story. So in a slightly less dramatic way than Chris Carr, I also had that like take yourself to the brink physically moment and then be like, okay, my life needs to change and get into that way. So that was probably my main nonfiction. And since then, I mean, and I share them with my community. I mean, I love like Think and Grow Rich, which is such a bad name, but it's a really amazing book in terms of, you know, really like taking control of your own destiny. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks is another amazing one. I love Denise Duffield Thomas. She wrote a book called Lucky Bitch and another one called Get Rich Lucky Bitch, which it's all about like manifestation and just like getting really, really kind of confident with your money story, which is really what holds us back a lot in terms of becoming entrepreneurs and having to ask for the sale and everything.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? Sorry?
You touched on something really interesting there, which was, you know, you thought that you would save and then you could quit. And what I've realized, and again, this is like one of those like light bulb moments for any entrepreneur, is you are never going to have enough time or money, ever. You will never. And if you have the money, you're not going to have the time. If you have the time, you won't have the money. So you want to quit your job. It's like, well, I'll save enough until I can quit. And it's like, well, you do that, but then you don't have enough time because something else happens, or a family member gets sick, or maybe you get a raise. So then suddenly it's like, well, should I not quit now? And so it's, I mean, I remember I had pretty much zero money in my account when I started my company. And there's been times along the way that I've made a lot and then I've lost a lot through, you know, this, that, the other. And then it comes back and I make more. And it's definitely one of those things where, and like, I remember when I was going to Bali to go get my yoga teacher certification, for years I've been wanting to do this. And it's something that I was passionate about. I wanted to, but I kept putting it off. Time, money, didn't have the time, didn't have the money. And finally I just started listening to the universe and my life and everything. And it was, the universe literally was like, all right, it's time to go. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the time, but I did it. I went anyways. It was not cheap. But when I got there and I did it, I realized that in the grand scheme of things, it was a month of my life, which is actually nothing. It was the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And it was worth every single penny that I paid. And so we're so scared about this whole, I'm not going to have the money. I'm not going to have the money. And it's like, well, when you have the money, you're not going to have the time. So you have to just make the decision. And it comes with fear, you know, of stepping out of the fear zone that, oh my God, I'm going to be jobless. And it's like, well, you got to do it.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. There's certain people who like they just need out of the job because it's driving them
Yeah.
crazy. And I was 100% one of them. If you told me to stay in my job, I would have probably like hit you in the face. I just hated it. But you know, I tell my clients like, don't quit until you're really, really ready. Like get everything set up, like work evenings in the business. You
Yeah.
can make such progress. And okay, it's going to be a bit of a struggle and you're going to work a full day and then you're going to come home and do like 2, 3 hours at night.
Yeah.
If you can, you know, even if you can like pay your bills for a couple of months with that money coming in,
Yeah.
you know you have that security blanket then. Because the worst thing you can do is to quit your job, have zero money, have all the stress of starting a business and not knowing what you're doing and having that learning curve
Yeah.
and be stressing about money because that just freaks you out. And
Even more. Yeah.
there's ways you can like kind of try to compromise and just be quite
Yeah.
strategic about
And
it.
so, and that's, I didn't really touch on that, but when I started my company, or before I started, I was doing my marketing job in London, and exactly that, on my weekends or at night when I'd go home, I would start to blog about the food that I was creating. And I would do blog posts about what I was taking to work with me, and YouTube videos, you know, whenever I went out to lunch with my friends and like going to Whole Foods. And so it started exactly that way of on the side because I loved it and I was passionate. And the more I did it, the more traction I got. So when I finally was let go, I had enough traction in my mind to be like, okay, I can sustain myself for a little bit money wise. I didn't just quit, or, you know, I wasn't let go with zero money in the bank. So I had enough to keep going. And that's a very important point, what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just the other thing to think about is that you can also stay in your job as long as you like, but you're always at the mercy of your boss. So like he has a bad day and he fires you, or like the economy takes a turn and you get let go. It's going to come at a time when it's not perfect for you. You know, it's going to be at a
Yeah.
time when you've just had a massive bill or like something's happened and you don't have savings. And so for me, like people think that entrepreneurship is a risky business, but actually an online entrepreneurship doesn't have that many overheads or that much kind of capital to get it started and off the ground, and you can actually start earning money, and then you're in control of your own destiny in that sense. You know, it's up to you to make the money, and but nobody can take it away from you either. um, so that's really, really key. Cool. Okay, couple more questions from other clients. Kelly asks, well, maybe this is more for your coaching, your health coaching. How did you find your first clients for your health coaching?
I studied at Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and so started off just with that, coaching various people like as practice. And one of those people led to actually a recurring paying client, which was great. And then really just through friends that I knew, and, you know, a few guys, their wives wanted to do it. And then also I was lucky that I have the Instagram following, and I have people that and what's interesting is I have people that have been following me for months, if not years. And it took them this long to finally say, okay, I want to work with you. And that's completely normal. I'm sure, as you realize, like, you're not going to hook someone on the first time you say, I'm a health coach. It takes a while for them to understand who you are, want to work with you, and then finally, you know, biting the bullet. So it's just been, constantly sharing what I know. And I never try to push anything onto people. It's purely, if you want to work with me, I'm here. I'd love to do a consultation with you, and then let's talk about your goals and then move on from there. So that's kind of been where I do it. I don't market very, very much for that because it's something I love doing, but it's not my full-time thing. So I feel very privileged with the people that I do work with, because I give them my all, because I'm very selective of how many clients I have.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's really interesting there what you said around, you know, you've got to keep marketing and you've got to keep kind of putting yourself out there, because so many people think like, okay, if I build a website and I build a Facebook page, like people will just flock to me. And you know, even if you have a website where the homepage gets loads of views, unless you are directing traffic to the specific page where they can buy something, you're not going to get anything. You know, you've always got to be out there and offering content and offering value, and just being there for people, just hanging out and being you. And you know, you can do it in a fun way, but that's really like if it's not 50%, it's probably 80% of the business is actually like getting stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like what I found is, okay, so I put out a new ebook and I charge £10 for it. Most people are not going to go just immediately buy that ebook. They're going to want to sign up for my newsletter. Well, first, let's say they start following me on Instagram, and then they'll sign up for my newsletter. And then maybe they'll sign up and subscribe on YouTube. So they're getting all this free content. And then I put out a free ebook and they download that. So then once I put out a actual product that I'm charging, they're much more likely to purchase that product because they've kind of gone through that flow of understanding who I am. Because most of us will not go and just buy a product first time. I mean, yes, maybe as women we go buy a pair of shoes, but let's say, there's a Gucci handbag. You're not going to go and just be like, all right, here's my credit card. You need to think about it, process it. And it's the same with even buying a 10-pound ebook. It's the same. It's human psychology. And so my goal is never to make you feel like, you're forced to do anything. I want you to want to work with me, or I want you to want to have the information I'm providing to you. So let me give you as much free stuff as I can. And if you decide to buy the ebook, that's great. If not, I'm still doing what I love and giving you information. Hopefully that's working.
Exactly. And it's so important as well we're in very different niches, but in that educational space, because the person has to be ready to do that work and to have that transformation with you. So in your case, it's getting healthier or losing weight, and in my case, it's like making that leap and becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm launching a program right now. So I'm having consultations with, loads of amazing women, but some of them just aren't ready. And if I were to push them and make them join up with me, it would just, first of all, it's a group program. So it would just ruin the whole energy of the group, but it just wouldn't be of service to them either, because they're not ready and they're not in that place. And that's why having all of that, what we call a funnel, having all the pieces in place to lead people through to your product, you're basically preparing them and getting them ready and letting them see if this is right for them. So super important. Cool. Kelly had another question. Actually, no. She asked, did you start your business in a phased approach? And did you start it part-time? But we've kind of answered them already. So I'll move to Isabel, who's the final question. Isabel asks, what lessons would you teach your younger self before starting this journey?
So I actually did a YouTube video about this, and it was exactly that. And a few of them, I'll give you a few, but a lot of them are non-relating to business per se. It's more about how you handle yourself in life, which translates into business more than anything. Have fun. That's like my number one, because we, as kids, we sit there, we laugh, we don't know about life. And the more we experience life, the more downhearted we get. And it's like, and what I try to teach people is, in order to have a healthy and happy life, you literally have to have a positive mind frame. That is more important than the food you put in your body. So you can eat blueberries and kale all day long, and you can still get a disease, and you can still not see the results you want. And that's because your mind is so toxic. And so if you're able to release the toxicity, have fun, enjoy life, go out, laugh, smile, and think positive, beautiful thoughts, your life will be so much more abundant in the things that you want. And so I'm not going, people call it manifesting and all of that, but all I'm saying is literally just have fun. Be around people that support you, they lift you up, they make you feel good. Do things in your life that make you feel good. So you and I both know, and this comes from the health world, is, eating a donut will temporarily make you feel good, but it's not going to make you feel good tomorrow. So having that of you deserve to eat well. You deserve to think good, happy thoughts. And the cleaner you eat, the easier it is to think positive thoughts about your body. And so we are our own worst enemies. We beat ourselves up for everything. And that's my biggest one in life, is have fun and think positive. And it's like, even on your down days, what can you do to be grateful? Like, so you've had a really shitty day. We all go through it. What one good thing happened in that day? So looking at kind of changing your perspective. Um, I would also say, at least through school, because going through school, we're all trying to fit in and learn about ourselves. And the lesson that I would give to myself, at least all throughout school, is really to focus on meeting as many people as I can, being friends with people, not caring about what the popular group does, or trying to be smart and learn as much as you possibly can, because the real world is very, very different from what you learn in school. And I know a lot of people who went to business school, and they say they learned nothing in business school compared to when they actually started a company. And so it's really just experiencing life. And that's kind of where I get to with all of this, is experiencing life and just not taking things too seriously. And then the last one really is just to be grateful for everything. And the more grateful you are, and you lose this facade of, we all put up boundaries and walls and everything. And it's like, people always see me and they think, oh, she's going to automatically not be a very nice person. And I'm like, why would I not be? I love to smile. I love to meet new people. I love cooking for new people. It's the whole thing is, you don't need to fit into what people think you're going to be. And so just being a friendly person, being grateful, and doing everything with love. So treating yourself with love, those around you with love, the food you eat, what you do in business. And there's kind of a theme with all of those.
It's so true. And I mean, whether you buy into the whole sort of, new age spirituality or manifestation, and, even, sort of certain beliefs around health and positive thinking, etc. Like, whether you believe in it or not, like, it's kind of irrelevant, because it works in its own way. So it's going to make you happier. By being happier, you're going to become more successful. So maybe you're not like manifesting that money in that sense of like the universe vibes and things. Maybe you are. I don't know, but it's a bit like gravity. Like, it works whether you decide to believe in it or not.
Right.
You can call it what you like. You can make it a sort of, a Christian God, or a personal source, or whatever you want it to be. But there's something in it that if you're happy and you're positive and you're just putting good stuff out there, it's exactly the same as a marketing funnel. If you're putting good stuff out there, you're going to get good stuff back.
Yeah, completely.
And that's what I tell my people as well. You've got to be positive. Like, I love what you say about gratitude, because I'm say the same thing. And like, the smaller the thing you can be grateful for, almost the more powerful it is. Like, if your train is on time, like, be super thankful for that, because that's just going to help you in your day.
Right. And like, even so in London, when I was taking the tube everywhere, it's like, all right, so your train's late. You're sitting on the train, you're 30 minutes late to work, and there's no service. So you can't, text or email your boss. And it's like, you can either sit there and get yourself all ruffled up and angry and, oh, I'm going to be late and I have a meeting, and there's literally nothing you can do. The train is not going to go, no matter how angry you get. Or you can sit there and just say, okay, I'm going to be late. I'll tell my boss. I'll figure it out. I'll reschedule the meeting. Maybe this gives me a few minutes extra to write an email that I needed to do. And so it's choices like that of when you're stuck in traffic and you have the biggest, most important meeting of your life. Well, there's nothing you can do about traffic. Nothing. You should have left a few minutes earlier. But once you're there, it's everything how you handle that situation. That's all that matters. And that's being grateful for, okay, I'm stuck in traffic. Why don't I put on some music to just calm myself down?
Exactly. And if you don't do that, if you let that frustration or whatever come with you through the day, you're going to mess up more parts of your day, Right. So it's really powerful. And I love as well what you said about having fun, because life really is too short. And I think so often it takes us to have this like huge medical crisis and really understand our own mortality, to be like, oh shit, like, I can't waste 40 years in an office doing nothing and not enjoying my life. Like, I have to get out now, because I might not have that much time left. Yeah. And I think that's really important as well, is that you need to think about what's really important to you, and And even if you stay in your corporate job, like find ways that it makes you happy, but do what makes you happy, because whatever you're scared around, if you're going to miss like one rent payment in the very beginning, like in the great scheme of things, it's nothing. You know, you'll work it out. Like everything sorts itself out eventually. And just to not live in this like constant paralysis of fear all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What would yours be?
My lessons? Oh, interesting. That was probably one of them. So I like, after reading Tim Ferriss's book and being like, wow, this is so awesome, I then like sat there and I kind of came up with like the odd little idea, and then didn't do anything for like 2 years. And I wasted 2 years of my life. I mean, again, like I'm grateful for them, because had I not gone through such a sort of emotional trauma to actually push myself to become sick, I wouldn't have got into the health world. And if I hadn't got into the health world, I wouldn't have, you know, started that journey and then got into health coaching, which I did initially, which then led me to clients who were like, oh, you've actually created a business, this is really cool, who would then be like, teach me. And that got me to here. And I'm really thankful for that. But if there was some way that I could have skipped those 2 years and like, I don't know, had the crisis earlier, that would be great as well, because that's just 2 years of my life that they're gone. And
but you realize that everything was meant to be in the way that it happened.
Everything was meant to be. But yeah, like don't waste time. There's no point in wasting time. You know, make the decision. And even nowadays in my business, I'm like, oh well, I could like launch a group program in a year when, you know, when something has happened, and I'll make up a reason why it has to be then.
Right.
Or I could just do it now, you know, and I could just like, if I have a goal, and as I always tell everyone, if I have a goal, if I have a desire, it's because it's meant to be, and it's meant to be for me. So if I want it now, and I'll make it happen now. And just getting into that very kind of proactive state, and not sort of sitting around wondering what could go wrong. Like something will pop up and go wrong somewhere along the line, but like you work it out. Like there's always a way to ask, how can I fix this, and fix it, basically.
That would be, I'm going to add, only because you said that, don't be scared to ask for help.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's like our biggest one, is where we freak out being like, oh my God, you know, I can't borrow money from someone, that like, God forbid. And even that, I've had that of being like, I can't ask my parents for money. And it's like, but most people feel grateful that you're asking for their help.
Yeah.
So while you're scared shitless, it's like, they're thinking, wow, they came to me. Like if someone asked for my help in any form, I would definitely feel honored. And it's like, you came to me because you trust me enough to help you. So
Exactly. And I mean, you know, people that you know and people that come into your life, like they're resources. And I don't mean that as in like they're like a bank account just dip into, but asking people for information, asking people for help, getting mentoring, getting coaching, if that's what you need.
Yeah.
That is such a gift in a way, because like you can work it all out and take 3 years to start getting your first client, or you can talk to somebody who's done it and learn everything you need to know, and then make it happen. And all you're doing it by trying to do it yourself is just, you know, wasting the time where your talents and your skills could get out to the world. And so you're actually being of more service to actually just get it going quicker.
And even, you know, taking the money in the business away, asking people for help. Like if you're going through a rough time with business or in personal life, and like sometimes I'll just text a friend and say, I really need a hug right now. And my friends are amazing. They'll be like, all right, let's meet. Let's go have a coffee or whatnot. And we sit there and we just hug. And it's like just asking for someone to acknowledge you and help you and listen to you. That's kind of the biggest thing. And when you're able to talk about what's going on in whatever manner it is, that's when we start to solve problems.
Exactly. 100%. Well, I don't know if you want to share anything or say anything before we finish up. If there's
I think I talked a lot during that.
I'll put a link below the this video, but maybe you want to share your website with us, just in case YouTube.
So it's staysharpbestrong.com, and you can follow me on Instagram, which is also staysharpbestrong. putting out new content all the time. And my mobile application for the 5-day detox comes out very soon, and that will be worldwide. And I hope you all download it, because I've been working on that for months and months, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was amazing to speak to you, Nikki.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully we can catch up soon.
Yeah.